And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we get set for race number 23 of the season, of the third season of the NCRA Hersheys Cup Series. After this race, folks, we've only got 3 more races for drivers to be able to make their case to be in this season's chase for the championship. And right now, as things stand, it's getting a little crowded in the current live chase standings. As a matter of fact, there's a number of drivers that have had wins this season that right now, even being inside the top 30 in points, they are not yet locked into the chase for the championship. We'll go through that in just a minute as Benjamin Miles lines up on the pole for this race. Alongside of him, J Richardson, both former winners this season, both looking for their second wins of the season to maybe lock themselves up a spot here tonight in the chase. But look who's behind them. You got K Dodd, the defending champion. No wins this year so far. N Hudson there. He's also looking for his first win. Same for J Arndt. Same for M McIntire. Big opportunity for a kind of under-the-radar wildcard driver to put themselves into victory lane tonight and make their case for being in the chase for the championship. Up to this point, there are really only 3 drivers that have confirmed themselves spots in the championship. That would be K Tellier, M Haas, and K Mathews, all with 2 wins. Cole Baker, J Baskinger, with where they're running the points, looks like they've got a shot with their 1 wins to definitely be locked in the chase as well. Emmanuel Hartnett, Blaine Keys, last week's winner T Dunham, they're pretty close to being locked in. Same for T Walch and J Richardson. But we'll be documenting all of that tonight. But without further ado, we're going to go trackside, get the most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines.
And as there's the command, only thing that we've really got to be able to go off is last year's race here at Salem in the Hersheys Cup Series as far as the Cup Series is concerned. And last year, they drove in the daytime. We're driving under the lights at night here, and that may be completely different track conditions for these drivers to have to deal with. So we mentioned on down through T Walch, Richardson, some other question marks. Right now, Dallas McIntosh, J Shelton, Z Fitzwater, C Llamas, K Batson, and J Bryant, and Michael Norman. Those drivers right now would make up your chase field. Drivers with wins right now that would not be in the chase currently. S Gallighan, he's 30th in the point stands, but right now the Daytona 500 winner is 17th highest of the 17th highest of 17 different race winners so far in the top 30. As the green flag comes out, another driver that right now would not be in the chase despite his 1 win, that is the guy that's leading this race right now. That started on the pole, Benjamin Miles. Miles came into this race 31st in the point standings. So right now being outside of the top 30 in standings puts him outside of the window necessary to have your win count towards a chase spot. K Dodd moving there into 2nd place, and we'll try and let them get a little bit spread out here before we start going through the field. And then, of course, the only other driver outside the top 30 in the point standings that has a win is rookie John Bunnell, our Bermuda race winner. But being a non-charter car and not making a whole lot of races, that's obviously really hurting his chances. It looks like we're under the caution. Had an incident there going into turn 3, or make that actually turn 1, as the cars hit the back straightaway, and the pace car will pick them up. Looks like we may have had another incident here coming off of maybe turn 4. Looked like some smoke lingering there. And Joshua Ciculli is on pit road. Yeah, the incident there just at the start-finish line going into turn 1. William Duncan, his car all smashed up and laying idle at the bottom of the racetrack. Looks like that's over in turn 2. Stephen Pollard III, another of the Go-Go homers as well, involved in this one. O'Neal Baldwin, Brandon Gonzales has got damage. That 23 car's really had a tough season. Dallas McIntosh damaged. J Baskinger damaged. And we got some cars on pit road. Leon Alvarez was on pit road. Garrett Sidner. Couldn't tell who else was there. Was that K Tellier? No, that was Brandon Gonzales, actually. William Duncan sitting on pit lane right now as well. So we are under the caution for the first time here tonight. Everybody up here looks like they're okay. Not exactly sure where that incident would have started based on the drivers involved. Might have actually been like right close to the tail end of mid-pack, near the tail end of the field. But Benjamin Miles leads us under our first caution of the evening here at Salem. Let's take a look at a replay of what happened. Well, here's what happened. I want you to watch the 18, that light green car of our points leader Cole Baker. Watch right here as the car gets really sideways on him. He's trying to save it, puts it down, way down, almost onto the apron of the racetrack, brings it back up. And just up ahead, Charles Sandfer gets into the wall, and Joseph Strigley's trying to go to the inside of him, as Baker's trying to hang on to it. Everybody's trying to avoid, and Baker then gets into Joshua Ciculli. Ciculli gets sent down into the wall, and then he comes back up. That's where J Baskinger gets collected along with Brandon Gonzales. We'll move up and see what happened to Leon Alvarez in just a minute. Pollard involved there. There's William Duncan, Daniel Olson, Garrett Sidner, Lyndon Wright. A lot of those non-charter go-home drivers that start at the tail end of the field. Just nowhere for them to go as the track gets completely blockaded up. And then let's see what happens up here with Alvarez. That might have actually been the incident going into fourth. So let's just quickly look back here, and yeah, there you see all these drivers just trying to leave the scene of the accident. So let's jump up real quickly here to the 33. Saw some smoke over here in fourth, so maybe this is where the incident happens with Leon. And Sandfer not able to keep his car on the bottom. That's the second time he's been up there and into the wall. And Alvarez trying to get by. Might end up making some contact right there. Yeah, he kind of got Sandfer in the left rear. It comes down into Strigley, and Strigley can't get off of him, and finally hooks him around down into the wall. Oh, man. Alvarez almost didn't hit anything, and then there's Strigley getting involved. Cole Baker also gets a piece of that there, as well as Dallas McIntosh. So we actually had two incidents take place down into turn one on two separate occasions. And I think actually there's actually going to be even more contact made here at some point, because William Duncan's car actually was sitting at the bottom of the racetrack in this corner. I don't know who he might have run into the back of. Maybe Stephen Pollard III. We'll see here in just a moment. Pollard runs into the back of Baskinger. And then here comes Duncan flying in. And yeah, he's just going to clobber right there. He's going to clobber the back of Pollard. And then Brandon Gonzales going to nail the back of the Krispy Kreme Ford Fusion. And they just keep stacking up. Stephen Pollard III again runs into the back of Baskinger. So we had two incidents take place on two separate laps in the same area. Basically off turn 4 down the straightaway into turn 1. And that's what puts us under our first caution of the night already here at Salem. Well, we haven't gotten the signal of one lap to green yet. That probably will happen, maybe possibly this lap, as Benjamin Miles shows the way. First caution of the evening, and the lights are indeed out. So Miles will restart as the leader. Chris Dodd jumped up to second. James Richardson in third. Fourth, J Arndt. Fifth, Nathan Hudson. Then it's McIntyre, Tellier, McCrury, Norman, and Sean Gallighan there in 10th. Definitely both Miles and Gallighan needing good runs here tonight. They're basically trying to chase down Michael Norman and J Bryant for those final two spots in the chase standings right at the moment. And as things stand right now, we have two drivers out of the race, Leon Alvarez and Stephen Pollard III. We've got those two lap machines, Joshua Ciculli 1 lap down, William Duncan 2 laps down. See where Norman, we already know he's starting inside the top 10. What about J Bryant? He's restarting 27th. Norman's starting 9th. So, boy, it's really going to get close. We're going to have winners this season not make the chase. That's pretty obvious as the green flag back out here on lap number 8. Miles going to quickly get around Ciculli and Duncan, clear the lap traffic. Chris Dodd does the same. James Richardson there in third trying to do that as well. And Chris Dodd goes really wide through that corner. May have actually gotten the wall a little bit. But Chris Dodd hanging on to second. As now Joshua Ciculli gets put up to the high side. It's kind of a battle here between two lap cars, and that's boxing in J Arndt, Nathan Hudson on back. They got to make their way through this traffic as quickly as possible. Garrett Sidner back on pit road. Damaged machine from our earlier incident. And now J Arndt trying to make some forward progress, fourth on back. They'll now try and freight train Joshua Ciculli, who's now up and into the wall on the high side, trying to get out of the way of everybody. Just saw Carson Scott up in the wall as well. And now J Arndt's got to get himself by William Duncan. Brandon Gonzales also on pit road, it appears. Not completely up to speed, and so those slower machines being courteous of the faster cars coming to pit road, getting out of the way of traffic, and Ciculli's still up and into the wall trying to get by everybody, or let everybody by, I should say. J Arndt, Nathan Hudson, and now Levi McIntyre, they're all starting to finally get around William Duncan, so now it's looking like, oh, caution! I was going to say, it was looking like the lead lap cars were getting by the lap traffic, but we have the yellow flag out, and it looks like it may have come out for Charles Sandfer, three-time winner last season, former chaser as well. Oh, we got trouble in the back. K Tellier just got spun around. I think she got spun around by Emmanuel Hartnett. I'm not certain. Looks like everybody got it settled out, though. That could have been really drastic. Tellier running in 7th, Hartnett running in 10th. Looks like they all got it settled out, though, and doesn't look like really anybody got any damage, so that's at least a good thing. And Benjamin Miles leads us here under our second caution of the evening. We're not even a quarter of the way through this race, and we're already under our second yellow. Let's see what happened to Charles Sandfer. Well, remember we saw Joshua Ciculli up and into the wall? Well, right there you see Tim Walch up and into the fence, not able to really get it off of the fence. And Sandfer, wow, Sandfer got really loose off that corner. He actually never made any contact with Walsh. Car starts fishtailing on him, and as he's trying to save it, boy, Joseph Srigley, second time tonight, wrong place, wrong time, and hooks Charles Sandfer up into the wall. Sandfer made zero contact with the 15. He just flat out lost it. Srigley a little contact there with Lyndon Wright, and Cole Baker may get a little piece of it right there, but that's what brought the caution out. Sandfer just flat out loses it off of turn 4 and then spins up in front of Joseph Srigley and then gets hooked around into turn 1. So that's what put us under the caution for the second time here tonight. Let's go back to live action. So we'll get ready to go back green momentarily here. We have not gotten the one to go signal. More than likely we'll be going back green flag racing on lap 18. Getting close to the halfway point of this thing, but still quite a ways to go. Benjamin Miles still out in front. Chris Dodd still in second. Richardson still in third. Top 5 pretty much the same. J Arndt in 4th and Nathan Hudson 5th. You got McIntyre in 6th. K Tellier in 7th. 8th place is Anthony McCrury. 9th is Michael Norman, and Emmanuel Hartnett completes the top 10. Dylan Young is up to 11th. Let's not forget Dylan Young, that kind of late blooming finish he got last week at the South Boston short track where he finished in 3rd. So keep your eye on him here. He's just outside the top 10. Dylan Poteet lines up 12th. Jessica Shelton 13th. Gallighan 14th. And 15th is K Mathews. So 2 of the Retro Racing Enterprises cars run inside the top 15. Unfortunately, though, their third counterpart of that group is out of the race. Charles Sandfer retiring out of the race. He will finish the night in the 40th position. Brandon Gonzalez, Garrett Sitter have been making multiple pit stops under that last green flag run. They are 3 laps down. You still have Ciculli 1 lap down. Duncan 2 laps down. 35 of our original 42 cars are still on the lead lap. So Benjamin Miles came into this race 31st in the point standings, looking for his second win of the season, and maybe trying to get that second win to confirm himself a spot in the chase for the championship. Green flag back out. We're back underway. And a little speculation in the Chris Dodd camp. Let's say Chris Dodd's able to get his first win of the season as he's trying to get into the chase, defend his championship. Well, right now, Chris Dodd came into this race currently situated in the 23rd position in points. He is ahead of drivers such as Michael Norman and J Bryant, which at this point are locked into the chase for the championship in one of the 16 slots. So Chris Dodd, if he can close the deal tonight, somehow get around Benjamin Miles, which he's not been successful in doing yet, he would more than likely put himself right into one of those 16 spots in the chase for the championship, provided what happens in the next 3 weeks. But Benjamin Miles driving away, and he's actually got Chris Dodd having some difficulty with the lap machine of William Duncan. It's one thing about short tracks, you know, you can have a damaged race car and still somewhat be up to speed. We see it at Bristol a lot of times, and you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that your car is not going to be up to speed just because it looks like Williams' car does right now. And we're under caution again. Caution flag is out, and these cautions are not helping Benjamin Miles. Miles has been doing a pretty good job of putting a gap between himself and second place, but these yellow flags keep bunching them all back up. And I saw J Bryant here at the tail end of the field. I don't know if he necessarily may have been the reason for this caution. Keep in mind, J Bryant coming into this race, wow, they're stacking up back here. J Bryant coming into this race is in one of those 16 slots in the chase for the championship with his win at Arizona. So definitely cannot afford a poor finish here tonight, especially with Sean Gallighan up there, Benjamin Miles leading this race. Let's see what happened. Was it the Pennzoil Ford that brought out this third caution of the evening at Salem? And can you say deja vu? Almost similar to what we saw happen to Charles Sandfer, happens here to J Bryant. The car, you just see the rear wheels spin right there as the car seems to lose grip. Nearly loses it off of 4, and it's almost a carbon copy, except this time instead of Joseph Srigley, it's Tim Walsh that is in wrong place, wrong time, and he's going to turn the 22 of J Bryant around. So it looks like with the late night conditions, the track being cooler, grip is hard to find, especially on the exit of the corner. Sandfer had trouble with it, and now J Bryant going around as well. Nearly got nailed by Joseph Srigley, but it looks like a single car incident pretty much, putting us under this, our third caution of the evening here at Salem. So as we get ready to go back green here, we are nearing the halfway point of this race. Benjamin Miles, winner at Springfield Mile, a dirt track, trying to win here tonight at a slightly longer than half-mile short track. It's got Chris Dodd right behind him. J Arndt has now jumped up into third. Both of those drivers looking for their first wins of the season. And as things stand right now, it's really, really close between Benjamin Miles, Sean Gallighan, J Bryant after that spin. And it could, you know, it's really, when we go to our regular season finale, there's no doubt about it. It is going to be really close between maybe 3, 4, possibly 5, even as many as 6 drivers for possibly that final 16th spot in the chase for the championship. But Benjamin Miles still trying to close the deal. There's still a long ways to go in this one. Green flag about to come back out. It's back out. We didn't have anybody retire from that, our latest caution. And you can see still Duncan, Ciculli, Sidner, and Gonzales down that inside line off the lead lap. I think we still have 35 cars on the lead lap. J Bryant, the last of those machines. As Chris Dodd was able to get around the lap traffic this time and now sets his sights on Benjamin Miles. J Arndt, on the other hand, having some difficulty getting by William Duncan. And we have a change of 4th place possibly happening here. Nathan Hudson on the bottom, James Richardson on the outside. Hudson trying to charge his way up towards the front. Levi McIntyre right behind him. Richardson doing a good job hanging tough on that outside line, though, and he may have cleared Hudson back for 4th place, and indeed he does. Hudson will slip back into 5th. Meanwhile, up here, Benjamin Miles looking behind him, and this is probably the closest Chris Dodd's been all day, and we got cars merging back on the racetrack in front of him. Well, they were going to, but Brandon Gonzales and Garrett Sidner just using the apron and pit road to make and log some laps. As Miles with about maybe 3/10 on Chris Dodd as they currently run. J Arndt still trying to get by William Duncan, and as he's having difficulty doing that, it's really bunching him up behind him. Hudson, Richardson, McCrury, Norman, and McIntyre all there battling for spots. J Arndt finally completes the pass around William Duncan, and now he'll set his sights on trying to reel in the top 2. James Richardson now going to try and get to the inside. Ooh, had to bail out of the throttle there. Close call, is now he's got Levi McIntyre behind him all over his back bumper. Michael Norman right there, Nathan Hudson, there's Anthony McCrury. Here comes Dylan Young, Jessica Shelton, our winner from Daytona 2 weeks ago. K Tellier there in the 35, second in the point standings. 36 points back of Cole Baker, and Baker not having the best of nights tonight, so K Tellier would love to be able to end off the regular season as the points leader. Already 2 wins this season for the 35 car, the most recent one at Watkins Glen. Michael Norman now to the inside of Levi McIntyre, nearly loses it under McIntyre as the car gets really squirrely on him. And now McIntyre up and into the wall in the entrance into 3 and 4. Hangs on to it though, but he loses a spot to Norman, a spot to Hudson, and now Anthony McCrury will bypass him as well. Move Levi McIntyre back to the 8th position. He was running up in 6th. Garrett Sidner, Brandon Gonzales making pit stops there, just trying to keep their cars up to minimum speed. Doing the courteous thing, though, and staying out of the way of the race leaders as Benjamin Miles still leads the way over Chris Dodd. These two have about maybe a little over 2 seconds in hand between themselves and J Arndt, who, clear of the lap traffic, is trying to reel in these two. And if this thing does go into a long green flag run, we saw this in the Almond Joy race, we could end up having these drivers, these leaders, catch the tail end of the field, and that could be a potential wild card in this entire race. We'll see when they hit the stripe this next time by just exactly how far they'd have to go to catch the rear end of the field, and they're at the line now, and the field is exiting too. That's JT Bryant, so yeah, you can see them now all in the same shot, JT Bryant and Benjamin Miles. And there's going to be 20 to go when we hit the line. If this thing goes green to the end, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that these two will catch the tail end of the field. And if they have difficulty getting around those other drivers, like JT Bryant, J Baskinger, Cole Baker, I mean, drivers that are up to speed still, that could potentially bring J Arndt into the picture. Maybe even Michael Norman, who's now jumped up to 4th. Anthony McCrury, who's now up to 5th. Norman has cleared Duncan. McCrury has cleared Duncan. So the top 5 now clear of lap traffic. Look at McCrury's car. McCrury's got a bit of a buckle there on the hood of his dishonored Ford. Anthony McCrury, let's not forget, the Season 1 champion. And looks like Benjamin Miles, Chris Dodd made quick work of Jake Baskinger. They've put him a lap down. And now they're catching up to JT Bryant. Obviously not the run JT needed tonight. Came in that 16th spot in the chase for the championship. And with where he's running right now, he could very easily be bypassed by S Gallighan, even maybe Benjamin Miles if Miles wins this race. We nearly had a little bit of an issue right there with Brandon Gonzalez, Garrett Sidner trying to make it back to pit road. Drivers on the inside line kind of getting stacked up. And Miles makes the pass now on JT Bryant. Chris Dodd going to follow in his tire tracks. 3 wide up ahead of the race leader with Lyndon Wright, Zachary Fitzwater, O'Neill Baldwin. That was close. Baldwin nearly lost it. And now J Arndt starting to get into this picture as well. He's got to get by Baskinger, but the top 3 may be battling for this win in the final 15 laps. Cole Baker, now the next driver that Benjamin Miles is going to have to deal with. He's got Chris Dodd right on his bumper. Chris Dodd just following in the tire tracks of the New York Yankees Wegmans Chevrolet. I mean, if Miles makes a mistake, Chris Dodd wants to be there to capitalize. But I think right now what he's doing is he's letting Benjamin Miles be the driver doing all the work of cutting his way through the drivers at the tail end of the lead lap. And then Chris Dodd's able to just fill in the hole he makes and slip right on through and make a pass as well. And I'm also noticing, as these drivers are still having some difficulty with the lap traffic, Michael Norman, Anthony McCrury, those guys have actually started cutting down the advantage as well. And you see Michael Norman about 2 seconds back, as is Anthony McCrury. Now, they do have the lap car of JT Bryant between themselves and third place J Arndt. But if they can make quick work of him, then we could end up seeing Norman and McCrury up into this mix as well. Time, though, is not on their side. When we hit the line, it's 10 laps to go. Miles trying to look to the inside on Cole Baker. Won't be able to do it this time. Got a little squirrely off that corner, as did Baker. Baker almost seeming to throw the block, it seems, on Benjamin Miles. And Chris Dodd is right, literally, on the bumper of Benjamin Miles. Chris Dodd taking a little higher exit there out of 4. That may cost him. J Arndt now going to clear Jake Baskinger, and now we may have ourselves a potential battle for second. That could relieve some of the pressure off of Benjamin Miles. J Arndt drives it deep into the corner, and he may look for more. He's looking for the race lead. What a power move by J Arndt. J Arndt to the inside. Here comes Michael Norman. Here comes McCrury. Chris Dodd nearly just turned Benjamin Miles. It's starting to get good here in the closing stages at Salem. Still side by side. J Arndt, Benjamin Miles, Chris Dodd, Michael Norman, Anthony McCrury, they're all in the mix. Arndt will clear Miles for the lead. No, Miles battles back on the high side. Oh, please don't let there be a caution in these final few laps. This is looking really, really interesting. 6 laps to go. Norman trying up the middle. Trying to get through the middle with Miles and Arndt. Miles back to the lead. Here comes Norman to the bottom. They're jacked up in front of him with Garrett Sidner kind of blocking the field. Now it's Norman and Miles side by side for the corners to the point. Here comes Miles again, back on the outside. And I think he may have cleared him. Norman may have cleared him. Cole Baker gets wicked loose right in front of Michael Norman. He saves it though. And Cole Baker may have just held up Benjamin Miles. Here comes J Arndt. Here comes Anthony McCrury. Norman to the race lead. J Arndt now trying to move by for second. 3 laps to go here at Salem. Norman to the race lead. J Arndt running second. Has lost a little bit of ground to Michael Norman. He's got to gain it back here somehow. Norman still on that bottom, trying to get by Joseph Srigley. Lyndon Wright's got boxed in. Cole Baker gets the wall. Nearly wrecked Benjamin Miles and Anthony McCrury. They saved it though. 2 laps to go. They're 3 wide back there with Chris Dodd, Cole Baker, and Miles. Dodd had to back out. Meanwhile, J Arndt up to the high side. Can he get a run on Michael Norman here? White flag displayed. Arndt trying the outside line. Can he pull alongside Michael Norman? No, he's losing ground. McCrury gonna battle for second. Through 3 and 4, J Arndt's gonna drive it in deep. Can he get alongside Michael Norman? No, he can't. Michael Norman picks up his second win of the season here tonight in a thriller at Salem. Holy cow, what a crazy last couple of laps there. And Michael Norman is going to pick up his second win of the season. And that may have all but locked Michael Norman up a spot in this season's chase for the championship. He joins K Tellier, Matt Haas, and K Mathews as a 2-time winner here in Season 3. Wow. What a finish here tonight at Salem. What is it with these short tracks having these amazing battles at the end of the race? Last week it was Trent Dunham, Joshua Osborne having that amazing confrontation for the win there. And tonight you had about half dozen drivers, Miles and Norman, Arndt, McCrury, Dodd, all in the hunt for this one. My goodness. Woo! What a thriller. Michael Norman wins the Coca-Cola 600 here this season and now wins maybe one of the most exciting finishes of the year at the short track of Salem. J Arndt so close. Same for Anthony McCrury. They'll get second and third, and the chances of them making the chase continue to get slimmer and slimmer with only 3 races remaining. Benjamin Miles, he was trying to get himself his second win, move into the top 30 in points. That 4th place finish may have still gotten him back into the top 30, but has it got him in one of the 16 chase spots now? I don't know for certain. Chris Dodd finishing the day out in 5th. And how about that? Most of this first half of the race, it was Miles in first, Dodd in second. They finish in the top 5, but they don't finish in the top 3. Unbelievable. McIntyre in the top 10 all night long, gets 7th. K Tellier in 8th, or make that 6th for McIntyre, 7th for Tellier. Then you got Richardson in 8th. Hudson gets 9th. And Jessica Shelton, nice job by her getting herself a top 10 run in the 10th position. That might have just locked Jessica Shelton up a spot in the chase for the championship. Not certain, but it could potentially have. Matt Haas, 11th place run. I think that may have actually locked Matt Haas up a spot in the chase as well. That finish. Dylan Young gets 12th. Joshua Michaels, Dylan Poteet, Emmanuel Hartnett. That is your top 15 as you go on down through the remainder of the finishing results. Of course, some of those drivers that we were talking about that are trying to get one of those spots in the chase for the championship. Miles finishing in 4th. You got S Gallighan finishing the night out in 25th. And then the big ones right here, you got Cole Baker finishing in 33rd and J Bryant in 35th. You got to wonder where these two are going to be situated with their wins this season as far as whether those wins would count towards a spot in the chase for the championship or not. You've also got to put into play Benjamin Miles' finish, maybe putting him into the top 30 in the point standing. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. We had 32 drivers finish this race on the lead lap. 4 drivers out of the race. Brandon Gonzales finally calling it a night after pretty much just running the remainder of the race after an early incident on the apron and making multiple pit stops. Garrett Sidner 26 laps down, then also out of the race for Charles Sandfer, Leon Alvarez, and Stephen Pollard III. So, I think right now we can say safely that drivers that would be locked into the chase for the championship right now, as we speak, I would say would be K Tellier, Matt Haas, Kyle Mathews, Michael Norman, and I would go as far as to say that potentially Cole Baker, Jake Baskinger, Emmanuel Hartnett, possibly Blaine Keys, Trent Dunham, James Richardson, and Jessica Shelton are all locked into the chase for the championship. There's still the question mark about where this is going to put Dallas McIntosh, with him finishing this race in 26th. And then, of course, the other drivers that are kind of question marks are down outside the top 15, like Zachary Fitzwater, Cody Llamas, also J Bryant, Sean Gallighan, as we mentioned, Benjamin Miles. So we'll have to see where this situates them as far as the chase for the championship is concerned. But thank you all so much for watching tonight's race here from Salem. Hope you enjoyed it. I know for certain I did. That was an unbelievable race. No doubt about it. And, boy, these short tracks, I'll tell you what. But next week, we're going road course racing again. We're going to be going to Dubai in the Arab Emirates, and so that's going to be a very interesting race. The past two former winners of that race, if I recall correctly, Season 1, Blaine Keys. Season 2, Zach Flickinger. Keys still looking for his second win of the season. Flickinger still looking for his first win of the year. We'll have to see who's going to be able to conquer the road course. Next week, we'll have both Almond Joy and Hersheys Cup Series action coming from that road course. So we'll see you guys next week. Here come your official point standings heading into that race as you've been watching production of the SRA Offline Race at its Best. Michael Norman picks up his second win of the season here tonight at Salem.